Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's talk Harry and Meghan. So some of the things I'll talk about you might have seen and some you might not have, but in any case, let's dive in. So one of the news that came about this week was that Prince Harry wanted to change his name to Spencer. The news about it, the words surrounding it, you can see that was just pure tabloid nonsense, as most of the news that come out about Harry and Meghan. But you can see how deliberately vague they were. They didn't give any date as to when he might have met with his uncle and had this conversation. So you know all of that is not true. There was another nonsense story that I saw that I could not believe that people were literally writing that about Meghan's Instagram post. And it was where there was a corn in her post, and they were also talking about how clean her vegetables were. And I'm thinking, do they not know that there is such a thing as a garden sink? And also, corn is in season, according to this website. So another made up nonsense. But all of these made up things is just to spark this continuous engagement and outrage to keep it going because that's all they're doing, keeping this mood and this hate against Meghan going for any and every reason. And since they melted down on vegetables, what is going to happen to their brains now when they hear that she's going to be honored? Meghan is going to be honored at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles Country Night of Wonder Gala on June 14. Yes, guys, that's what's going to happen. So, these people who are hating on Meghan is going to find more things to hate on her for because she's going to continue to be honored and rise, and all they're doing, which is something like this, they're fighting to stop for her not to be recognized for all the good that she's doing. But moving on from that story, the next thing that I saw where they're trying to bring up a lot of past history. Now they're making documentary on the Sandringham summit.
Harry needs support from someone who isn't in the room. The one person who understands what he's going through. Meghan said very clearly in her Netflix documentary, imagine a conversation, a roundtable discussion about the future of your life when the stakes are this high, and you as the mom and the wife and the target in many regards aren't invited to have a seat at the table. And I have to say, on that, I sort of agree with her. In the end, they told her that they would do a call with her.
I have a lot of sympathy for Meghan, watching from afar as this all played out and basically having no voice in the room.
The conversation on the phone is going to be the most difficult part of the whole negotiations. Because
one of the stories that came out was Meghan dialing in from California, but absolutely firmly that was not going to happen, even if that's what Harry wanted. They had no way of knowing who else would have been in the room with Meghan. Would there have been someone making notes? They simply couldn't allow that.
But I think the real reason was because they all knew that Meghan was probably smarter, brighter, had a more linear view of where she and Harry were going and what they wanted. And they probably thought that they would get a better outcome with just Harry.
So, as you can hear, they need their own series, Confessions of Vipers. But in any case, Richard Kay said something very interesting about that they were afraid that Meghan would have somebody there with her taking notes. While all of them said this without any sense of irony.
So we had a WhatsApp group with all the press secretaries from all family. And on the day of Sandringham Summit, they all texted us, and they all left the group, the WhatsApp group. That's fine. And so every journalist is getting screamed at by their boss to tell them what's happening.
I had got a friendly figure inside Sandringham who was able to tell me bits and pieces.
But what all those people are confessing in these clips is that those people in the palace, they knew Harry really needed legal representation. And yes, Harry needed Meghan to be there, not just as his wife or the person whose future was being decided, as Meghan even said in the Netflix documentary, but as somebody that wasn't so emotionally attached to those people and could see through all the bull that they were selling. But in any case, all of this is revisionist history, and they're not going to get any points for saying all of this now, because all of those people in that documentary are people that are part of this whole system that is serving the crown. So they're not doing anybody any favors right here. They're just making money for themselves and just basically putting out something that they have always known to be true, that Harry and Meghan were talking about their lived experience. It would be more interesting if they would name people that were giving them the information, name names, and give new information with names. Also, we had where Meghan sat down with Tina Knowles today.
I'm curious how, when you look at for yourself, what your brand vision is for you, for Miss Tina.
I mean, I never dreamed in a million years that I would have the number one book on the New York Times bestseller list. That's crazy to me. It's surreal. I can't even believe it.
It's incredible.
Because I hope to even be on the bestsellers list, but to be number one is incredible.
It's well deserved.
Well, thank you. But I know that I have, when I get those Instagram comments that people are going to get their breast exams, or they're starting a business, or they're getting the courage to leave a bad marriage or leave a bad job that's not fulfilling them. I tell you, it's more than a brand. It's really helping people. And my biggest prayer is, when I wrote the book, was that it would resonate with people and it would personally help them with some area of their lives.
Her bonus podcast, very interesting. Unlike the others where I listened for business tips, this one I was simply curious about Miss Tina, because I've never listened to her before. And I found it so heartwarming when she talked about Beyonce and Solange and Kelly. She spoke to them as her three children as a unit. I found that very inspiring. But the conversation was very quick, very smooth, very engaging. So I liked it. And finally, one of the things that I heard Meghan said in her podcast, she spoke about pausing. And then on her Instagram, as you see here, she's saying that we're getting more products in June. So now I'm confused. So I'm not sure what to think. But in any case, I'm there. I've signed up and I'm waiting to see what is going to happen. And as soon as anything drops, I'll be there to buy. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you like my content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And talk to you soon. Bye.